Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kendell Cronstrom, the editorial director of C&G magazine, proud presenter of this year's 2020 Hampton Designer Showhouse, raising funds for Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. We tasked 11 design firms to overhaul a 9,000 square foot house in Sag Harbor, and they did so with stunning results. Proceeds from the donations are going to the hospital's Healthcare for Heroes Fund for COVID-19, so it all goes to a very good cause. Before we begin, I want to give a special thank you to our generous sponsors, Bellagio Kitchens and Baths, Bevelo Gas and Electric Lights, Caesarstone, Kohler, LG, Plesser's Luxury Appliances, Sherwin-Williams, Sub-Zero, Wolf and Cove, The Tile Shop, and Wolfer Estate Vineyard. We couldn't have done the house at all without the brilliant help of our 11 design firms, 4 of whom are represented here today. Melanie Roy is a veteran television producer who later switched gears to become an interior designer, working first at the top firm Coleman & Kravis before starting out on her own. She decorated the home's stunning entry foyer. Based in New York and Palm Beach, Javier Fernandez is the founder and principal of the 17-year-old company Transitional Designs. He decorated the home's gorgeous living room. Gary Chufo is a certified kitchen designer and also the president of his family's 113-year-old firm, Chufo Cabinetry. Not surprisingly, he did the kitchen. And Jennifer Mabley and Austin Handler are principals of Mabley Handler Interior Design. They've been located in Watermill in the Hamptons for almost 20 years and are among the most established and respected firms on the East End. They designed the serene junior master bedroom. So I thought we'd start by talking to each of the designers about their room schemes, what their overall plans for the rooms were, what obstacles they overcame, what design solutions they employed in each room. And starting with Melanie, why don't we talk a bit about the entry foyer?
Thank you, Kendall. I designed the entry foyer, and I wanted to celebrate nature and the beauty of the Hamptons. I used organic materials and colorful and functional art to create a playful space. One of my greatest challenges was the scale of the room. It was so large that I hung a John Porcario-like sculpture from Todd Merrill's studio in the center of the room to bring it down to a different scale and make the space feel more playful and intimate.
And that light sculpture too, to my eye, really brings the eye up too. It really pulls you up into the space.
It does, and in order to make the top of the room feel more intimate, I actually landscaped the second floor with trees and plants from Unlimited Earth Care, which really made the space feel more organic and warm.
Mm-hmm. And how about the, I love that surfboard, and it's at Hamptons.
That was one of my inspiration pieces. Eric Skolberg's amazing surfboard had every color from the sunset, turquoise and orange. So I used that as my color palette for the whole room, and then commissioned Samantha Sambrook to create these beautiful discs of color that we brought into the walls of the stairwell to also create more intimacy.
And how about on the other side of the foyer with that beautiful console? I don't know, what material is that?
It's a Mila wood, and it was brought in from Home Nature. It's actually different square pieces compiled together, which makes a beautiful organic statement as well.
And what about the mirror? What does a mirror do in a foyer design?
I chose to use a convex mirror in the foyer so that it would basically bring in all of the art and all of the colors into one space when you stood in front of it. So, and that was from English Country Home, which is such a beautiful place.
Yes, gorgeous, based right here in Bridgehampton. And I want to ask each of you too, while we're doing this, what is the first thing you did in your space?
The first thing I did was to reach out to Todd Merrill Studio and John Procario to see if I could bring one of those incredible light sculptures into the room. I'm really fascinated by functional art right now, and because it was such an organic piece, I thought it would really be a wonderful statement in the room.
Right, great. Okay, and Javier, tell us a bit about your beautiful living room.
So I wanted to challenge myself, and I thought that in a show house, do something completely different from what I normally do, and that's this bold colors. So I started by painting the ceiling high gloss hunter green, and then I added all this bold black and white art, which is a great way to introduce color. And then something fun is that zebra head. And then I did a very soft blush pink wall covering by Philip Jeffries. And then just pick up color in the throw pillows, like the bold emerald green and the fuchsia pillows with really pretty coordinating tapes. And then a lot of pops of color in the accessories. Mm-hmm. And then I also did color on the drapery, the linen drapes, and the border around the sides of the rug, the hunter green
which
border.
I believe they call, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that color called arugula?
It is, yes.
Yeah, which I love those paint names. That's what I want to do in life. But also, so I'm curious to know, did those beautiful abstract black and white works flanking the fireplace come before or after the zebra, or how did that?
All together, actually. I was going to originally do mirrors there, but then I found these in Baltimore Interiors. He lent those to me. Mm-hmm. And then I found the zebra head in the Hamptons in an antique shop.
And what about the etagere? That's a great piece.
Oh, that was from Ellen Nevin. She loaned that to me.
Oh, yeah. Ellen's a great supporter of the magazine. That's great to hear. And that fabulous piece of artwork right there, what are we looking at?
A friend of mine actually did that, Brenda Kilmore. She did that for me. I needed an oversized piece, and so she did that for me.
Just great. It's always nice to have something personal in a space too. And so for your room, what was the very first thing you did?
The ceiling.
The ceiling.
And then the walls.
Okay. And I imagine you went through a stark contrast between.
Oh, completely. And you know, the challenge in that room that it's very, very small. So I really wanted to fill it, and I think I did.
Yeah. No, it looks terrific. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Gary, why don't we move on to the kitchen and tell us about this fabulous kitchen design.
Hi, Kendall. So, what I really wanted to create this year was, a classical Hamptons contemporary kitchen, something timeless. Let's show some of the metals that we all love, a nice glossy finish. It seems the majority today loves glossy finishes. Mm-hmm. So we built a custom hood. We adorned around the refrigerators and freezers with custom hood panels above and a surround of stainless steel. This way it pulled that whole fridge section together. We put some metal textured materials inset in the drawer fronts on the island and left and right of the hood to tie together with the stainless steel feel, as well as on the back of the island. We did a nice large trough sink. Whenever available or accessible, everybody always loves a huge sink. So we were able to pull it off on this island, which, as you see, it's lost on the size of the island. And at the end of the day, we wanted to show what we feel is a kitchen that everyone would want to have.
Mm-hmm. And the backsplash tile, is it grooved? It has a texture to it.
Yeah, it does have a texture to it. It has an amazing texture to it. And it also pulls in that whole stainless steel feel as well. So I was very happy with that. And we complemented everything with waterfall stone. I don't know if you realize that even left and right of the range and at every end of this kitchen, including the island, all the stone is waterfall down.
Waterfall. Mm-hmm.
A lot of effort, and it paid off.
Do you consider this a quintessential Hamptons kitchen, or do you think it could live somewhere else?
This kitchen could go anywhere. I mean, yeah, it's screaming the Hamptons, but I got to tell you, we could install this kitchen in Manhattan, Florida, anywhere, and we are. So it's, you know, this kitchen I feel is an all-around winner as far as, you know, being timeless, and everybody would want it.
And I think there's some bells and whistles here too, like sort of hidden pop-up coffee stands and things like that, no?
Yes, and it doesn't show in the photos, so we can't.
Yeah, I know it's in there somewhere. And so what was the very first thing you did in this space? Measure, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, well, I tell you what, I'll hit you with very first and challenge at the same time.
Yeah.
So, you know, when being invited into the kitchen, if you notice straight ahead up top, there's a main beam running throughout the kitchen, which was structural for the home, which was actually 4 inches taller. So we met with the builders, and they accommodated us by beefing it up for structure and then trimming it up. And the challenge was, it was creating 2 spaces to the right side and left side of the kitchen. And how do you take this whole space and make it feel like one kitchen? So we just took the large crown that was already running through the house and the beam, and we tied it all together to kind of make the feel of the ceiling disappear, and then you just recognize the space in the cabinets below.
Right. It's great. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
Okay, and moving on to Jennifer and Austin, who always create these rooms that you just want to live in and not ever leave. Tell us a bit about this space.
Well, this being an unusual year, summer, all the above, you know, that really came into the planning for the room. We wanted to create a room that felt like you were escaping the world and the noise and all the craziness out there, and also something uplifting and cheerful. Hence the color scheme and the peaceful feeling when you walk in there. And it was, you know, someplace that you could retreat and turn off the noise.
Right. And you worked a lot with Serena and Lily to some degree, or you had a combination sort of thing going on, or?
Yeah, we partnered with them to pull the room together. We use their product in a lot of our projects. It's funny, even though that we're quintessentially East Coast and they're based on the West Coast, right. There's sort of a very there's a similarity in the vibe of both of our aesthetic and their aesthetic. It really taps into the coastal nature of where they're based and where we're living and working. So it's always been a go-to resource for us. And we thought it'd be fun to work with them and present their product in a way that features their product, but also presents it in a way that you wouldn't necessarily know that everything came from just one specific vendor. Yeah. That's, I think, a lot of designers, battle clients that, present them with pages out of catalogs and say, I really like this room. And designers obviously would never want to present a catalog look. So this was a fun challenge for us to work with one vendor, but present it in a way that it still felt eclectic and designed, and not, page 6 of, the summer catalog.
Right, exactly. Although I recall that those beautiful window treatments that let in quite a bit of light are from Shade Store, right? So
yep. So we work with the Shade Store a lot. It's a wonderful workroom. What's nice about them, they do COM, or you can also use their fabric. So we did COM with them and created this very open sheer to let light in. The room was a little dark. Right. And then we use that washed gray linen. Do you hear the dog barking in the background?
We do, yeah.
We're going to now stop that. I'm very sorry.
Well, I do
So-
see there's a dog bed in there, so maybe he's.
Okay, she may show up on camera, so sorry about that. She really is. She's really the star of
Oh
Maple
yeah,
Hill.
we love seeing dogs.
Here, Poppy, come here. Anyways, I hope that answered your question before the interruption.
No, it does. I must say, just personally, my eye is really drawn to that wallpaper because I think it's super graphic, but also really subtle. It feels like it brings light into the room, but it doesn't hit you over the head with its graphic pattern. It's really, really gorgeous.
That was actually the first thing we picked when we were
Right.
putting the room together was the wallpaper.
Question.
And for exactly the reasons that you mentioned, it makes a statement, but it does it in a soft, subtle way. It really, to us, it really evoked the feeling of being in a resort, in an island resort somewhere. And I mean, technically, Long Island is an island, so
Right.
we turned this island room into an island resort type of space.
Right. So, well, sticking with you two, because you have been in the Hamptons for quite a long time, what is it that you love about working and or living in the Hamptons, and what inspires you about working in this beautiful part of the world?
I mean, it's hard not to love it here. The light, the beauty, the diversity. 1 minute you're at the beach and the next minute you're on a horse farm. There's so much in this small area that is inspiring. Living here, the quality of life, the people, the incredible resources. It's just what a dream come true for us to be able to live and work in this beautiful place. There's so much inspiration. You just have to walk out the door.
Exactly. And how about you, Melanie? I know that you split your time between the city and the Hamptons. How are things similar and different in those two locations?
I think New York City and the Hamptons complement each other beautifully because the energy of the city is infectious, and there's a different energy in the Hamptons that's more soothing and calm, but so inspiring. The colors, the water, the light. I just love the Hamptons. I love designing there and I love spending time there.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, I need to come back to the city to get my energy. Yeah, so
Right.
I love both.
Good. And Javier, I know you spend a lot of time in Palm Beach, and a lot of people in the Hamptons go back and forth between both locations. Are there differences, similarities between
Completely different styles.
Mm-hmm.
I just did Kips Bay in Palm Beach, and I did more of a modern feel design. And so that's why I chose to do this completely different in this show house. But I'm relatively new to the area. This is my second project here, but I love it. It's beautiful. It's very quaint. It reminds me a lot of New England. I love all the cedar shake homes, the salt box homes. Sag Harbor's so beautiful. It's so quaint. All the little shops and restaurants, and everybody's so friendly and nice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's completely different. Completely different.
Good. And Gary, I know that you've worked with us, our company, on show houses in virtually every market we covered, from Brooklyn to here. How are things different for you vis-a-vis your kitchen designs?
You mean my kitchen designs in the Hamptons? Well, I have to say that everybody wants the beach. Everybody wants calm and simple. So that's why we constantly stick with white. For a kitchen, white is just always a winner. Every time we try to stray from it, we always come back to a white kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that there's a calmness about the Hamptons. When you cross that border and you're into the Hamptons, you become a different person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the luxury to live there full time. We do have a house in the Hamptons, but I gotta say, every time we close shut off the light switch and go out to the Hamptons, we become different people. So
Right.
A beautiful calmness.
It does have that effect on people.
Yeah.
What other design inspirations, past and present, do you all draw from? Whether it's designers from the past or just patterns and fabrics that you're particularly drawn to? Jennifer and Austin, thoughts about that?
I would say in recent years, travel has
Mm-hmm.
been a source of inspiration. We were in Paris last January, and we were there with Cravat, and that trip was like it changed me. And just drawing, we did a project right after that trip where we did tabletop for the botanical garden orchid show, and that project was like designed based on that trip. So I think travel, getting out, I mean, we're in the Hamptons so much, so when we do get out, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, and we really draw from that. So
yeah. And how about you, Javier?
I agree. Travel is a very big inspiration in the design. I think we all can agree to that. Also, fashion. You know, I see an outfit that inspires me for a room. Fabrics, furniture. I love going to market. It really inspires me. I love furniture. So all that helps inspire my design.
And Melanie, how about you? I know you've worked previously for Coleman and Kravis and have been affected by the work of other people in your career. How has that touched on what you're working on today?
Finding that I'm very influenced by art now, because I think there is a trend of art and furniture and lighting kind of melding together, which is something I actually did in my room. I used Alex Roskin bench, which was a sculpture. Actually, it's a sculpture, but it's also a bench. And John Ficario, of course, which is a light sculpture. So art really has been influencing my design quite a bit, and I've been integrating it not only in the form of art, but also in the form of furniture and lighting.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about the charitable aspects of being involved in a show house. But before we get to that, in general, I'm just wondering, why should a designer do a show house? What are the pros and cons of doing a show house? Gary, do you have thoughts about that?
I mean, let's face it, you get a lot of exposure. I mean, it's fun to do a show house. It's also very difficult. You have a little bit of time to pull off the best of the best, so it's challenging.
Right.
Why would you do it? Because it just gives you so much exposure. It shows so many people your capabilities and your designs that it's a win-win.
Have you all received jobs off of it, or at least inquiries, Melanie?
I think, you know, it helps build your brand. It's wonderful to be able to give back doing something you love. And when you work in a show house, you can really create anything that you want. So it's, as a designer, it's a little bit of a selfish experience, but it's also wonderful to be able to support different charities and work in a group setting with a lot of other creative, amazing designers.
Right.
You know,
Do you all
it's a great experience.
Do you all bounce ideas off each other? Like Jennifer and Austin, do you check out other people's rooms and like see what they're doing and like talk about what everyone's up to, or how does it work? I've never been on set when people are putting their rooms together.
Well, we have the room designed, you know, usually weeks, if not months before we install. So, you know, by the time we're installing, it almost doesn't matter what other people are doing. It is what it is. There have been some years that we've done show houses where whatever the adjoining room is perfectly complementary, and that's always fun to have some nice flow. And then we've done it years where it's been something completely different, and that's, you know, like there's something for everybody. So that's always fun too.
And Javier, being relatively new to this scene or this part of the world, how did it go for you this time around?
You know, the only thing that I was disappointed in that we're not showing the house and getting to know all of the designers on a more personal level, which is really great, because coming from Kips, I made a lot of really new friends and designers, and it wasn't competitive. There were no egos. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah,
We really enjoyed each other.
We
dinner went for drinks. You know, and unfortunately, because of every COVID, you know, we can't do that in this. But although I haven't met Austin and Handler and
Jennifer.
But I met the other designers, and they were all very, very nice. Again, no egos. It was really a great positive experience.
Great.
And of course to give back, because I've been very fortunate. So it's a great opportunity to give back.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to mention that we met Melanie doing a show house, and we also met Gary and his family working on show houses. So it's definitely expanded our network of designer friends doing show houses, which has been great.
Yeah, I don't know that we've stated it, but because of COVID-19, this did have to be a virtual show house. But fortunately, we are presenting it in many different formats. A video presentation on C&GTV, a slideshow on cottagesgardens.com, and also look for our print editorial in the October issue of HC&G, which should be out in a week. So even though people couldn't physically tour the house, we're trying to get it out there in every venue possible, and hopefully on all of your websites and social as well. How important is the I don't know of a show house that doesn't have a charitable aspect to it. How important is that to all of you? Jennifer and Austin, I know you've been doing this for many years, this particular show house.
I mean, I think for us, each show house is different. When there's a charity behind it, it just drives the cause even more, just more personal, like whether it's the Holiday House that has the breast cancer charity, or the Hampton Designer Show House, which is Stony Brook Hospital, which is Southampton Hospital as well, which is our local, very small hospital that, we rely on for this whole area. So it's important to get behind that. The first show house I came to when I was 22, I took the bus to Southampton to see the Hampton Designer Show House, and I was really young with big eyes, and it was at Chuck Scarborough's house. And I remember that at that point, it was, obviously still supporting the hospital. And I remember thinking how that was such an important part of it. It's not just, hey, look at these great designers with their beautiful rooms. It's like, this is for a cause, and we need you to help support that cause.
And of all the years, for it to be supporting Southampton Hospital with everything that's going on with COVID, that's made it especially rewarding that we could not just give back to a charitable cause, but give back to an organization that was really working overtime and overtime to get through the pandemic. So to be able to give back to them was especially rewarding.
And Melanie, how about you? Because I know that you have done Holiday House, which raises money for the BCRF, and also this show house. How does that play in for you?
Very important to me to be able to give back. In terms of this year, I just felt really benefiting Stony Brook Hospital, and COVID-19 was so important. Many of my friends are living now full-time in the Hamptons, and some of them were ill and so concerned that they wouldn't even be able to get into the hospital. And I thought it was really an important year to support the workers in terms of COVID-19 this year, and every year, but this year in particular, it was just, I felt it was really an important thing to do.
Yeah, and on that point, with this terrible year and these things that have happened, we're all very fortunate just to be here today, talking about all of this. A detractor or a super critical type might say, oh, they're talking about decorating. It's so silly. There's so many other things in the world to talk about. But, I'm just wondering what you all think about interior design, and is it relevant today? What is it that can it do to promote health and happiness? Gary, do you have thoughts about that?
Well, I think that, with design, like you just said, brings health and happiness. So to have a safe haven, someplace that you enjoy to be in, why not design it the best? Why not have a great space? Today we're all spending so much time in our homes and in our yards and at our own, we're not going out. So to take and put effort and hire designers and make the best of our spaces, I think is amazing, and what we should be doing all along.
And Javier, what are your thoughts about that?
I agree. Most people are spending a lot of time at home, so they are not traveling. They're homeschooling their kids. They're working out of their homes. So they're looking around things that they were going to do or postpone. I find that they're spending more time, so they want to spruce up their homes or redo their homes, and entertaining more at home, small dinner parties. So I think that's where this is all taken off.
I did hear out and about that people are making improvements to their homes left and right. Are all of you upgrading your own homes or doing little projects because you've got a little bit more time at home? Or Austin and Jennifer?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're all in this together, right? We all have our homes, and I remember when the lockdown started, I ran out and bought herbs and planted them. Well, it was too early. They all froze and died. But, like it was just a time to I needed a herb garden. I needed to, have new sheets. And, it was just it felt so safe to be at home. And everybody, as far as decorating and putting money into future projects, I thought to myself, well, are people still going to do that? It seems decadent. It seems, tone deaf. And guess what? Everybody is putting money into their homes right now because this is where we're all hanging out, and this is where we feel safe, and this is where we're with our friends and, well, our close friends that are in our bubble and our family. So there's a lot of work going on, and people are improving their homes and are really thinking about it in a much bigger way.
I mean, especially out here, it's well known at this point, the huge influx of people from New York City that moved out to their Hampton summer homes, and that's the flurry of calls that we started getting were people that were in a beach house in a summer home, but all of a sudden it had to work for 4 seasons, and all of a sudden they needed more than just one home office. Everybody needed an office or a schoolroom or a place to have meetings. So it really got people rethinking what it meant to have what used to be a second home, a luxury of a place to go in the summer, and now it had to function as a year-round house, an office for everybody, a schoolroom for everybody. So it really involved some rethinking and reimagining of a lot of these spaces. So yes, to Jennifer, and to your point, on one hand, it can seem sort of decadent, almost capricious to be talking about something fanciful as interior design in a pandemic like this. But on the other hand, we're helping people solve real problems in their homes that have now become these multifaceted learning and working and living environments. And then on the flip side of it, when come 5 o'clock, when everyone's done with work and school, people aren't going out to eat as much. They're not going out to the movies and to theater. So the spaces that they're retreating to have to become more comfortable. And the irony of all of this is when lockdown, when we knew that was happening, the first thing Jennifer did was order a new sofa for our sunroom, because the one that was in there was old and lumpy, and we're constantly fluffing the cushions in it. And she said, well, we're gonna be locked up for the next few months. I at least want a comfortable sofa that is going to get us through it. And so, I mean, we're living what everyone else was living. Yeah.
Yeah, and I keep hearing from architects too, like the new demand with plans for new builds and stuff are home offices and sort of separate places for the kids to be in. That tells you anything, but and those are the 2 most in demand areas of new houses. So it is changing. Melanie, any thoughts on this front?
Well, just in terms of interior design, it's about design and style, but it's also about functionality, which is something we always focus on when we're working with our clients, is to make sure that it's not only a beautiful home, but it's comfortable and functional. So, I think everyone now has taken a step back to say, well, what do we really need to be able to live comfortably, which wasn't always a question people asked when they were meeting with an interior designer. So I think, it's also nice to be able to make a space function and for families and for individuals, so that they feel safe.
Nice. It looks like we're getting close to wrapping up, but I think we have a few questions coming in. So I will challenge my tech savviness, which is not a very high bar, and see if I can get some of these questions up. Okay, it looks like, I'm assuming this is for the kitchen for Gary. One of our viewers is wondering who makes the faucet for your sink. Oh, I think Gary's on mute.
I'm sorry, it's a Kohler faucet.
It's a Kohler faucet,
Yeah.
and Kohler was among one of our fabulous sponsors. Do you remember the model by any chance? Or?
It's, give me 1 second, because we had two of them. We had one, the Island.
The Island probably is what they saw in the picture.
Yeah, so that's a Cruise single handle K22972-VS.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And another visitor is noticing that there is a lot of color, text, and texture in many of these rooms. They're wondering, is this an increasing trend as opposed to the more traditionally stereotypical Hamptons white and beige? Javier, your room is super colorful. Do you have thoughts about that one?
Yeah, I find that in all the showrooms and in all designs today, people are incorporating a lot of color or pops of color, whether it's in your artwork or on your upholstery or your accessories.
Mm-hmm.
Color is really huge, yes.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. And it's also, it inspires you. It stimulates you.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't necessarily feel bound by the conventions of, you know, the super.
No, actually, when I did Kips in Florida, it was more of a New York design. I did here.
Yeah.
The Hamptons, I did more of a kind of Florida design, more traditional, bold colors that you normally see there.
And another one that I think is interesting, I've always wondered about this. I think it's done differently at different show houses. I think sometimes you get to choose the room that you want to design, and then sometimes you're told what room to design. I'm not sure if I have that right. I think it changes from show house to show house. But with this one, if you didn't do the room you did, which room would you have chosen to do? Which other room in the house would you have chosen to do? Well, Gary, that might be hard for you if you're a kitchen expert, but let's start with you. Was there anything else you would have wanted to take a crack at?
I'd have to say no.
Okay.
I got the golden nugget, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
And Austin and Jennifer?
You know, I loved that little powder room, that little gem of a powder room.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can make such a statement in a small space.
Which was done by, oh, sorry. Mm-hmm.
You get 3 walls too, which is nice. Some of these, you know, newer homes, there's no walls. Everything's open.
Right.
You get 3 walls to decorate.
Right. So many houses in the Hamptons are like, you know, 80% windows, I think. So yeah, that's right. Okay. And Melanie?
I actually would have loved to do the sitting room in the kitchen. Gary designed such a beautiful kitchen, so it would have been nice. That would have been my second choice.
Yeah. And Javier, how about you?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, the room that I wouldn't want to do would be the working bathroom, which I did in my last show. That was a nightmare. But I would love to do a bedroom, actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully next time, let's see.
Yeah.
This one, I'm not tech savvy enough to do again, but I'm wondering if our people at Command Central, some of the people who are writing in want to see some pictures of the rooms again. I'm not sure if we can run through those again or not. Okay, here's a good question, I think, for all of you. I mean, if you had to choose one piece for a room, a design element, it could be a piece of furniture, wallpaper pattern, a specific piece of lighting, what would you choose, or what are you sort of having a crush on right now? Austin and Jennifer?
Oh, Are we on?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Kendall. So one piece, is it a piece from our room?
No, not necessarily. It's more, I think if I'm interpreting the question right, it's, you know, is there a piece that you have a crush on right now that you'd love to work into a room design? It could be a piece of furniture or a wallpaper pattern, a fabric.
Yeah, I mean, I would have, I don't know if you know, but we have a furniture line. So
Yeah.
we have a few pieces. One is a bar that is highly functional that can work as a cabinet or a bar. And it just has really multiple purposes in terms of the finishes. You can customize it. We also have a chair called the Fine Point chair in our line. Austin, we have it right here in our living room. You get a live shot.
Oh, live
Let's see if
shot.
we're tech savvy enough to figure this
So
out.
this has a oak back, and it has a faceted back, all wood. So when you see it from behind, it's really stunning. So if you're walking into a room and see it from the back, that it has a statement.
And which company are you doing this with? Is this something with Kravit or?
This is with Kravit. So we have this line's been out for almost 3 years. We have a second line coming out in April.
Okay, and then I imagine you can get in any number of fabric options too.
Yeah, you can do COM or anything from Kravit, Lee Jofa, and then the oak finishes come in 7 different colors.
Okay. And Melanie, how about you? What's
Um,
happening right now?
I have a lot of things that I love, but in my room, I did include an Alex Roskin bench from Todd Merrill's studio. And he also makes really sexy console tables that are made out of bronze and really are animated pieces. They're sculpture and they actually look like they might just walk out of the room. So I would say an Alex Roskin console would be something, yeah, I'm crushing on.
Yeah, well, the bench is super beautiful. And Javier, how about you?
You might be on.
Javier, are you on mute or did you?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, we're just wondering if there's anything out there, not necessarily in your room, but a piece of furniture, a wallpaper pattern, a rug.
Actually, I love wall covering. I try to incorporate it in all my designs. I'm obsessed with Arte. They have some beautiful 3-dimensional wall coverings, and Elitis as well. Just a beautiful line of wall coverings.
Okay. And Gary, what have you not ever put into a kitchen that you'd love to put into a kitchen?
Oh God, I don't really have a good answer for that.
Because you've done that.
You've done it
all, probably.
I was hoping you were going to skip it.
Yeah, once you get that coffee bar in there, then.
Yeah, I mean, we try to do something totally different out of the box every time. So there's much more to come.
Yeah.
I can only say that I could take Melanie's surfboard and Jennifer and Austin's wallpaper and that zebra head. And all day. I'm very happy with all 3 of those.
Well, that could be interesting in the kitchen, a zebra. And finally, I think maybe they missed it, but if I'm not mistaken, the wallpaper in the bedroom is Serena and Lily, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Someone was asking about that, and it's Granada. Was that the name of the pattern? I can't remember the name of the pattern.
Oh boy.
I think it was.
Sorry, I'm blanking.
Yeah, actually, I think it was the Granada wallpaper.
Yes.
So from
As they do it in a few different colors.
Okay, great. Well, I think it's about 1:15, and that is the time we were allotted. I wanted to thank you all very much for joining us today, and thank you for your contributions to this Showhouse. It obviously was a very different situation this year, and everyone rose to the challenge. So we're really happy to have had you join us. Look for our coverage in the October issue of HC&G, and also on our website and C&GTV, and I'm sure through all of your social venues as well. Thank you all very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Nice meeting you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.